Good day friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Shafiq, and in this video I'll be talking about Sprint security using basic authentication, and we will be using the in-memory authentication for this. So what is basic authentication? In basic authentication, browser will display the login pop-up screen where user can input the user ID and the password and submit the form to the server. So if the application identifies the user, he will be allowed to access the endpoints. Otherwise, he will not. In basic authentication, the credentials are propagated in a plain way from client to the server. That is, the credentials will be just base64 encoded, and it will not be encrypted anyway. So any attacker can sniff the details over the network. So if you are going to use basic authentication, you have to use HTTPS in conjunction with the basic authentication. So anyway, we are not covering HTTPS in this video. I'll do that in a later video. So let's see what's our roles and authorities in security. So granted authority. So we can think of the granted authority as an individual privilege. For example, a user can have read authority, delete authority, write authority, etc. And roles. So roles is nothing but you can think of as a coarse-grained granted authority. So it will be always prefixed by the string role underscore. And if let's say you can have roles like admin, manager, where and then you can assign authorities to each roles. So we will see that in the course later. So as part of this video, we'll be having this many users and the roles and authorities as mentioned in this table. So we'll have the user chef1, we'll have a role user L1, and we'll have the authority as read and write. And chef2 will have the role user L2 will have the read authority, and user chef3 will have only the role user L3 and no authorities assigned to it. So these are the use cases or the endpoints that we will be creating in this video. The first one is a test one, which will have the authorities as read and write. So any user which is having the read or write authority can access this endpoint. Test 2, so any user with authority as a write can access this endpoint. Test 3, so any user with the role as user L3 can access this endpoint. That's it. Let's flip to the IntelliJ and then start creating. Let's create a new project. Go to File, New Project. Go to Spring Initializer. Click Next. Enter the group ID as chefz dot security dot basic auth. Next. So select the Lombok and we'll use the web. That's and then security. That's all required for this tutorial. Okay, so click next and project name Spring Security Basic Auth. Okay, so we'll put this in the desktop. Okay, desktop slash, just check one more folder should be there. Yeah, sorry. All right, let's create it. New window. All right, so it's done. So what we have to create is, let's create some packages. Okay, so let's have the first one is the controller, and then one more we need, which is the config. That's all we require. And now we need a controller, which we'll call as home controller. Should note it's as REST controller, as request mapping, as API. Now let's create the first endpoint, public string test1 done test1. Now we'll have the get mapping as test1. Okay, now let me copy paste all of them here. 3, 2, 3. Put it here. All right, so we have our endpoints ready. Just go and create the YAML file. Just give the server.port as 8083. Okay, just let's run this application and see whether it is working or not. Yep, so the application is up. So you can see that since we have added the Spring Boot security as a dependency, it has already generated a security password for us. So now let's see whether we are able to log into the application using the default user name and password. Let's go to the Chrome and type in localhost 8083 API test1. Right, fine. Right, default username is user and the password will be this one. Copy it, go to the Chrome page, paste it, sign in. Here we go. So we are able to log into the application with the default username and password. Now let's go ahead and create the configure class. Go to the config, create the class, we add it as security config. This should extends web security configure adapter. Right, now let's add the annotations. So the first one is at configuration, and the next one enable web security, and the next one enable global method security. Okay, why because we are giving the security at the method level, so you need to have this annotations with pre-pause enabled as true. Okay, so now you need to override a couple of methods. Which one? It's press Control O. The first one is the configure and authentication manager builder. Okay, so here we will define the users that are required. It's auth dot. We are going to do the in-memory authentication, so you need to have the in-memory authentication dot. Which user you going to put? With user. The first one is at chef1 dot roles as user underscore L1. This is as per the design. We have the chef1, chef2, chef3. So we are going to create all this. So go back dot authorities as read comma write dot and dot with user. Okay, just let's copy paste this and then we'll modify this. It is with chef2 user as L2 and he is having only the read authority. Now one more users dot and dot with user chef3 dot roles user underscore L3. Okay, now we need to override the another method which is again the configure one, which is configure HTTP security. Alright, here you go. So what you have to do is HTTP dot authorize request dot any request dot authenticator dot ht and dot http basic. Let's clean this. So should be like this. Alright, so what we are saying is so we are using the in-memory authentication, and what we will have with users, these three users with these roles and the authorities, and again we say that every request should be authenticated and which will be using the HTTP basic authentication. That's all. Now we'll try to start the application and then just try to access the endpoints. So currently we haven't given any authorities to the method. For example, we haven't annotated it with the any global method security, so you should not be able to access any of it. Yeah, let's try this out. Let's run this application. Okay, so there is an error here. Let's see what it is. Okay, so we haven't mentioned the password, so that's mistake. Okay, so Okay, so for refining the password, you cannot have the string password because you will need to encode it, otherwise it will throw you an error. So what you have to do is that you need to have a password encoder be in here. So which is has to be password encoder, password encoder, password encoder. Okay, so this has to be a bean. Okay, so let's import the class. Okay, so let's see what all the encoders available. If you go here and then if you click here, you can see all the implementations of the password encoder. So you have these many encoder and implementations, and where we will choose this one, the bcrypt password encoder. Right, so go back to your configuration and just add a return new bcrypt password encoder. Okay, and when you go here, you will have to have password encoder dot encode. You will have, let's say the password be 1234, 1234. Okay, so you need to have this for all the users. We'll use the same password for all of them. Alright, so let's try now. Yep, application is up. Okay, so now let's try the endpoint using Postman. Just enter the IP address. Okay, so I have it here, localhost 8083 slash API slash test1. Okay, username is chef1 and 1234. Okay, there's a mistake. API. Yep, you will get this. Try test2. Yes, you are getting that. Try test3. Yep, so okay, the endpoints are working. So let's flip to the IntelliJ and let's add the method level security. Right, so go to the controller, and then what we are trying to add is add pre-authorize. So, and we are going to say has any authority. So has any authority, and or has authority. Has any authority will take the array. So you have to permit read, comma, write. Now for the test2, we will have pre-authorize and has authority right. For this one, we'll get pre-authorize has role. So here we were just trying to do the role. So what was the role? Role was, you need to prefix it with role first of all. Now user L3. That's it. So we have configured all the endpoints with the method level security, and then let's try it out. So stop the application and then run it again. So okay, this time I will use the debug mode so that we can see something in the debug as well. Alright, so the application is up, and let's go to the Postman. Okay, so let's start from the first API, API 1. Okay, so he should be able to access it. Yes, working. What about test 2? should be able to get it. All right, so the next one, he should not be able to dump. Yes, it's working. So as we said, this test 3 should work only for the users with the roles as the L3. So user L3. So that's why chef 1 is not able to access it. Now let's try it with the other users as well. So go to chef 2. Okay, let's start it from the 1 and then try. Yeah, he should be able to. The test 2 he should not be able to access. You got the error. 3, same. Cool. Now let's try with this third user. So 1, nope. Cool. Second one, no. The third one, he should be able to go in. Perfect. So that's all working. Now let's see something else. Let's put in debug and see what all things is coming here. Okay, so let's put it here. Okay, now so debug point here, and now let's go back and put it as 1 and chef 1 and just send. Alright, so what I want to check is I'll go to the evaluate. Alright, or else what I'll do is go here authentication is equal to security context holder dot get context dot get authentication. Okay, so what we are trying to see is what all the authorities that each user is having. Okay, let me copy paste this to all the users so that we will be able to see what each user is having. Okay, so let's put a breakpoint also here, and then we'll start again. Okay, so the application is up. Let's go to the Postman again. Just hit it. Okay, so now we are here. Let's see the authentication, the authorities. See, what we can see here is the read and write authority. Okay, so and you cannot see anything like roles here. Yes, so if you go to security config, you have for this particular user, you have given the roles as well here and then the authorities. Okay, but roles are not considered anywhere. That is because if you are giving the roles and the authorities together, always the authorities will get the higher precedence and roles will be ignored. So let's see this again. Let's run it again, this through again, and let's try with the user 3. So here, and then if you want to go to here and then send it, see, so if you look here, you will see authorities as 1, which is role undergirl user L3. Why? Because this user does not have any granted authorities associated with it, so it is the roles are considered. So if you want to use the roles as well as ideally in an application, what you will do is like you need to configure in such a way that you will have a role, and this particular role is having read authority, write authority, etc., and then you will assign this particular role to a particular user, right? But in some scenarios where you actually need to validate the you need to give the role itself to a method to a method. So what you have to do is you need to add that also like this. For example, here you need to give, for example, if chef 1, you need to have roles also to this authority, so you need to give it role underscore user like this you need to give, and then you can do whatever you want. So we can even try this. So let's say I just copy paste this, and here, and let's put it as test 4, and test 4, test 4, then you need to give it as has authority. Okay, so let's try this again. Alright, so let's go to this 4, and you will have the user ID as chef1, and let's try this. See, you are here, and then if you see the authentication, you will see the authorities as I see read, write, and role user L1, and you got it, the response. See, that's where you can uh, play with, that's how you can play with the roles and authorities. Alright, so that's it for this video. Let's recap what we have done so far. The first, we created the controller, and we had initially only the 3 REST endpoint, test1, test2, and test3, and then we created the security config class, uh, where we have overridden 2 configure methods. First one, with the authentication manager builder, we have defined the users and their roles and authorities, and the second one, we have defined, okay, every request that is coming in should be authenticated and should be using the HTTP basic. Now then we went back to the controller and then added the global method security rules for each REST points. That's it. Thank you for watching my video. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel.